digging this week for some vinyl. Most of it was not from the bargain bins at all. Some of it was actually new, and then some of it was really in great shape coming through on collections. Went down to my favorite little place, which is the Record Factory here in Las Vegas. This one I've never seen before, and I don't know why I wanted it. I haven't even heard it yet, but it is a $6 million band, 4 Exciting Christmas Adventures. Ooh, on the Pickwick label. Remember that? That was an, I think it was an RCA sub-brand for kids records and stuff back then. Now, I love her. She was on Emergency, of course, but in her early days, she was a sultress. Oh, she was so nice. Julie London. This is a good one on Liberty. Way back when, that was one of the early ones. I played this for years when I was a kid in LA at KVFM, the FM station I used to work at way back in the late 60s. And this was a classic album cover. I think some of these were rehashes, but I mean, you don't get better than Sinatra and Basie, right? To say the least. Here she is again. She's feeling good, and we're so glad, Julie London. You know, she was married to Bobby Troup, the famous guy that wrote the Route 66 theme. And of course, they worked together on Emergency because of the connection. She was married originally to Jack Webb before she met Troup. And Jack was friends with her and her husband and hired him. And they actually were pretty good together. He was the doctor, the emergency room doctor, one of them, and she was, of course, the nurse. The Boogie Boys themselves, Canned Heat. Remember that one night back in 1966, I think it was just several weeks into when I started at USC. I was not at the dorms. I joined a fraternity right away because I didn't want to live the Army life. But anyway, I was over there for some reason. I think it was a Friday night, and they had a little stage set up in front of one of the dorms. And I was hearing music when I was coming out of a class, and I walked over there, and there were no more than 40, 45 people watching Canned Heat Boogie. Now, they had had some minor stuff in LA. We knew who they were. On the road again, it hadn't gone big nationally at that point, as I remember. But I watched a boogie for over 40 minutes. One boogie. And I sat there and I go, these guys are good. Now, years later, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, here in Las Vegas at the Cannery out where I live here in North Las Vegas, the rehash of the group was there. And they were horrible. The longest boogie they played was 5 minutes. I mean, it was a total disservice to the old days of Canned Heat. The Bear, who actually died in a sleeping bag, didn't he? In Laurel Canyon, something like this. Haven't even opened this one yet. Johnny Cash, Classic Cash, his early mixes, and this is stuff from the, golly, the 60s. And some good tunes on here. Let's see, we've got Sunday Morning Coming Down, Get Rhythm, Cry, 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 Blue Train, Peace in the Valley. His really good old stuff. And nothing's better than Johnny Cash. An American legend when it comes to music. This is pretty cool. I can get these over and over again. It doesn't matter. This is all original stuff, just repackaged. And it's called James Bond, all album super pack. And it's some of the original John Barry type stuff. And it's so good. You know, when you see a movie and the music is one of the leading characters, a lot of film noir, you notice that if you watch those kind of movies, or good comedies, like one example would be Pillow Talk. They used a lot of very graphic music to sell the scenes. And, of course, nothing better than James Bond for the action genre when it comes to that. John Barry was tops. Old Doc, yeah, he's been around a long time, and he's a great jazz musician. He kind of got bastardized when he did Tonight Show all those years because everybody thought he was just a goofy dude that dressed pretty. But that was the act on the show. I remember once I went to a free concert, and it was out in Canoga Park. It was Woodland Hills, and it was the Warner Center, it's called. If you're familiar with San Fernando Valley, there's a bunch of big office buildings in there, lots of open grass areas. And it was, I think, a Sunday afternoon, as I remember. And it was free. and there were maybe 1,000 people there sitting on the lawn, and there was a nice bandstand, and the guy that put it together, the leader of the whole thing, was Tommy Newsom from The Tonight Show, the saxophone player, who did many of the charts on the show. Anyway, he was there, and who comes walking up with just a case and sits down and plays fourth chair? Doc. Yeah, Doc Severinsen. And he just sat there, and he wasn't, he said a few things on the mic, but basically he was just there to play, gig, and have a good time that day. And I got so much more respect after seeing that. I mean, he's a good guy too, on top of everything else. I always kind of knew that, but when you see it in reality. This is a cool rehash album, RCA Victor, way back when. This would have been in the late 50s. And it's got Bill Byers, Pete Jolly, one of my all-time favorite piano players. No one better than Pete. Did so much studio work. Shorty Rogers, of course, Andre Previn, Charlie Barnett, Quincy Jones in his early days, Tony Scott. Lullaby of Birdland. It's just a compilation of a lot of other people. And it's on RCA Victor. And I think this is a mono. Yeah, cool. I love mono, man. Mono's so good. So that's some of my album hunting. I love vinyl. I know you do too. That's why you're here. And it's just fun. You ever have any, share it with us, because, many of the guys just show the pictures up there. I like to tell a little bit of the story about whoever it is and why I'm buying it. Some of the stuff, like buying this one is strictly just for fun. This is not going to be number one on my hit parade. I'll put it on Discogs, but the bottom line is, I just like vinyl because every album, every piece of vinyl tells a story. And for those of us who've been around for a long time, you know that it's a fun story to weave. So keep collecting the vinyl. Hang in there. Thanks for stopping by right here on What's on Your Turntable. And we'll catch you later. Sin City, ciao. Be good.